What if I told you some video game villains just don't know when to quit? No, seriously, these guys have been obliterated, incinerated, thrown into volcanoes, and even erased from existence. And yet, they keep coming back like an unskippable cutscene. You think you've won? Nah, they respawn. You breathe a sigh of relief. Think again. They're already planning their next comeback tour. Today we're diving into the top 10 video game villains who refuse to die. We're talking about the most stubborn, most unkillable, and most frustratingly persistent bad guys in gaming history. Some have cheated death, others have been revived by sheer force of evil, and a few, well, let's just say, even throwing them into a literal pit of lava didn't work. And trust me, you'll want to stick around for number 1 because it might just be the most ridiculous case of villain immortality ever. So grab your weapons, double check that they're actually dead, and let's jump in. 10. Dracula, Castlevania series, the king of comebacks. You ever hear that saying, you can't kill a legend? Well, Dracula from Castlevania took that personally. No matter how many times the Belmont family whips, stakes, or slices him into dust, this guy refuses to stay in the grave. He's like that one guest at a party who won't take the hint. It's over, dude. Go home. The story. What happened? Dracula starts as a grieving man who lost his wife, but instead of, going to therapy, he declares eternal war on humanity. He builds a giant castle full of monsters, deadly traps, and enough gothic horror to make Tim Burton jealous. And every 100 years, like clockwork, he comes back, usually because some overconfident cult thinks summoning the Lord of Darkness is a good idea. Escalation. What went wrong? Every time he's defeated, you think, that's it, we did it. But nope. Give it a century, or in some cases just a few years, and he's back, stronger, angrier, and with a fresh new castle. And let's not forget Castlevania, Symphony of the Night, where his own son Alucard has to put him down. Imagine getting your butt kicked by your own kid. Parenting goals? Not quite. Dramatic conclusion. Dracula is the OG video game villain who just won't die. And honestly, at this point, the Belmonts should just set up a Dracula retirement fund and be done with it. 9. Sephiroth, Final Fantasy VII. The silver-haired menace who just won't leave you. Ever meet someone who takes rejection way too personally? That's Sephiroth, except instead of sending angry texts, he summons a meteor to destroy the planet. At the end of Final Fantasy VII, you literally cut this dude down. Done. Over. Roll credits. Right? Wrong. Sephiroth isn't just a villain. He's a recurring nightmare. He keeps coming back, sometimes in spirit, sometimes in a new body, and sometimes as a walking existential crisis for Cloud. His worst offense, he doesn't just refuse to die, he haunts the entire franchise. From Advent Children to Kingdom Hearts to the Final Fantasy VII Remake, he's everywhere. He's like that one ex who keeps accidentally running into you at the grocery store. And the worst part? Every time he returns, he's somehow even more powerful. Seriously, Square Enix, can we get a villain who stays down for once? 8. Geese Howard, Fatal Fury. The man who laughs in the face of death. Literally, some villains survive by magic, some by sheer plot armor. And then there's Geese Howard, who survives through pure arrogance. This guy has been thrown off a building twice, and both times he went down laughing. You'd think plummeting from a skyscraper would be a pretty solid way to end a villain's career. But no, Geese doesn't care about physics, consequences, or even gravity. He just keeps coming back, whether as a ghost, a clone, or somehow just fine. And even when he's supposed to be dead, he still haunts the King of Fighters series, popping up in spin-offs and alternate timelines like he's got a lifetime VIP pass to the afterlife. At this point, SNK should just make it official. Geese Howard is immortal, or at least he's got the world's strongest health insurance plan. 7. Ridley, Metroid, the space dragon that just won't stay dead. If there's one thing Samus Aran has learned, it's this. Ridley is like a bad Wi-Fi signal. No matter how many times you think it's gone, it comes back. This alien space dragon has been blown up, incinerated, impaled, and even reduced to bones. Yet somehow, he always finds a way to return. Cloned, rebuilt, mutated, possessed? Ridley has done it all. You'd think after getting vaporized multiple times, he'd take a hint. But no, he keeps coming back angrier, bigger, and with even more nightmare fuel attached. At this point, Ridley's survival skills put cockroaches to shame. Forget bounty hunting. Samus should just open an extermination service specifically for him. 6. Bowser, Super Mario, the king of comebacks. If video game villains had a frequent flyer program for getting defeated, Bowser would have diamond status. This guy has been dropped into lava, blasted into space, crushed, electrocuted, and even turned into dry bones. And yet somehow he's always back by the next game, perfectly fine, kidnapping Peach like it's his day job. Honestly, at this point, Mario should stop jumping on his head and start asking for his secret, because whatever resurrection trick Bowser is using, it's clearly working. And the worst part, he never learns. He keeps using the same plan, getting the same result, and still acts surprised when Mario shows up to ruin his day. Bowser isn't just unkillable, he's the most stubborn villain in gaming, and honestly, you gotta respect the hustle. 5. Heihachi Mishima, Tekken, the man who laughs at death and volcanoes. Most people don't survive getting thrown into a volcano, but Heihachi Mishima, he treats it like a minor inconvenience. This guy has been blown up, electrocuted, punched by literal demons, and yes, yeeted into an active volcano. And yet, every time you think he's gone for good, he just walks it off like he tripped on a curb. The Mishima family drama is basically one long murder attempt, and Heihachi is the king of dodging death like it's just another round in a tournament. Honestly, at this point, lava should be afraid of him. 4. Seymour Guado, Final Fantasy X, the villain who just won't take a hint. Some villains refuse to die because of magic, technology, or pure stubbornness. Seymour Guado, he's just too obsessed with his own terrible plan to stay dead. In Final Fantasy X, you fight this guy 4 times, and each time he insists he's doing the right thing, despite the fact that literally nobody wants what he's selling. His grand idea, become an undead god to save Spira from suffering. That's like burning down your house to save on rent. You defeat him over and over, sometimes in dramatic, world-shattering battles, and yet, Seymour keeps showing up, more twisted and monstrous each time. Even when he finally fades into the afterlife, he still tries to take one last swing at you. At this point, Spyra didn't need a summoner, they needed a restraining order. 3. Vile, Mega Man X, the robot who just won't stay scrapped. Most villains, when they explode into a million pieces, tend to stay exploded, but Vile? Oh no. This guy keeps coming back with an attitude and an upgrade. Since Mega Man X, Vile has been blasted, dismantled, melted, and turned into scrap metal, but somehow he always manages to rebuild himself, stronger and angrier than before. And unlike other villains, he doesn't even pretend to have a grand plan. No world domination, no revenge scheme. He just wants to ruin Mega Man X's day. That's it. Pure pettiness. Every time you think, okay, he's finally gone, the next game rolls around and surprise, new armor, new weapons, same old Vile. At this point, he's less of a villain and more of an annoying recurring bug in the game's code. Someone at Capcom really needs to patch him out. 2. Orochi, Warriors Orochi, the Serpent King who refuses to stay sealed. Some villains come back because of science, magic, or sheer plot armor. Orochi, he comes back because he's literally too powerful to stay gone. This serpent god was defeated, sealed away, and erased from existence multiple times. Yet every time, some poor fool revives him, thinking they can control him. Spoiler alert, they can't. Orochi isn't just some warlord with a grudge. He's an unstoppable force of chaos, capable of wiping out entire armies single-handedly. And when he gets resurrected, he doesn't just come back, he comes back stronger. No matter how many times the heroes defeat him, he always finds a loophole, a prophecy, or some unlucky cultist to bring him back. At this point, history should just stop recording his defeats, because we all know he's coming back anyway. 1. Xenomorph, Alien, Isolation, the ultimate nightmare that never stops hunting. Some villains refuse to die because of magic, resurrection, or sheer willpower. The Xenomorph? It doesn't need any of that. It just won't die. Unlike other villains on this list, you can't even kill it. No matter how many times you shoot, burn, or try to outsmart it, the Xenomorph just keeps coming. In Alien, Isolation, you spend the entire game hiding, running, and praying it doesn't hear you breathe. You can't defeat it, you can't outlast it, and you definitely can't reason with it. It's not evil, it's just a perfect killing machine. And the worst part, even when you think you've escaped, it's still there, watching, waiting, one step behind you. At this point, the real horror isn't that the Xenomorph won't die, it's that it doesn't even need to, because it already won. So what did we learn today? Villains are basically gaming's worst case of deja vu. You can throw them off buildings, blast them into space, incinerate them in lava, seal them away in another dimension, but no, they'll be back. Honestly, at this point, heroes should just start charging rent. If they're going to deal with the same villains over and over again, they might as well make some money off it. But now, I gotta ask you, which of these villains do you think is the hardest to get rid of? Or did I miss one that keeps coming back like an unskippable tutorial? Drop it in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this trip through gaming's most persistent nightmares, hit that like button, or else, who knows, one of these villains might just respawn in your next save file. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe, because trust me, there are plenty more gaming nightmares to uncover. See you in the next one.